Years ago, someone said, I don't know who it was, but it was clever. I'm sure you've heard it, that youth is wasted on the young. And you can look that up. I should have figured that out. I should have researched it, but I didn't. I'll let you do that. In fact, if you find out who said it, please put down in the comment section. After you, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell. But not only is youth wasted on the young, school is wasted on the young. How many times have you said to yourself, this is what we need to do with kids in school today. This is what we have to do regarding kids. This. And it's interesting. I find it very interesting because, be honest with you, if I could reconstruct the school curriculum, what would I do? How would I reconfigure it? Well, I've got some ideas, very specific ideas. And I don't think anybody's going to like these, but I'm going to tell you because I'm a very, very, very strong advocate of education throughout your life, not just necessarily in school. I will describe that in great and incredible detail. But first, a word from our sponsor. Noble Gold Investments is pleased to let you know that gold is the best investment class for 2022. Through all our record-breaking inflation rate, crashing market, crypto scams, there is one asset that held its own: gold. According to longtermtrends.net, gold has actually outperformed the S&P 500, Dow, and Bitcoin for 2022. Had you invested in the S&P 500 a year ago, you would be down more than 20%. If you invested in Bitcoin a year ago, you'd be down more than 65%. And if you invested in the Dow a year ago, you would be down almost 10%. Yes, gold has outperformed them all in 2022, and silver is not far behind. Yes, while the world was busy hailing other assets as the real hedge, gold and silver are the only assets that would have protected your wealth. So join the thousands of others by opening a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments. Get in before the end of this month and you'll bag a free 1/4 ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of $50,000 or more. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. And there are thousands of 5-star reviews. And remember, there's always a risk of investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind. I don't know when it was for me, at what point, when my epiphany was, when my moment came, when I realized, oh my God, I understand how everything interweaves, how math and English and literature and history and philosophy and science and social sciences and psychology and name it, chemistry, how it all interweaves in this beautiful. Try explaining that to a 17-year-old. Try explaining calculus, rate of change, Newtonian calculus, derivatives. What's the derivative of 4x squared? 8x, right? Still, it's easy to do that. We all know that. How is it that you explain to somebody why discussing Charlemagne is somehow relevant? And we're not talking about Kid Charlemagne either, for all you Dan fans. And you realize you can't. So what is it that we teach kids? What is it that is, what must kids know? Well, first and foremost, not that anybody asked me, but first and foremost, you have to realize education is not for everybody. There has to be some rudimentary teaching as to literacy, being able to read. That's it. Read. Just know how to read. A little math would be nice. A little financial stuff would be nice. A little bit on credit and things like that. History? Maybe. But the thing that has to be done, first of all, before we even begin, is to realize who goes to college and who doesn't. And the who doesn't is going to be the vast majority of the people. College is not for everybody. College is a complete, I think in many respects, it's this rite of passage that has no bearing whatsoever. Some people should not go to college. Fewer people today should not go because they do not have I don't want to say it's not about being smart or anything like that. It's the fact that it's just not for everyone. If you want to go into a professional profession, you obviously have to go to college. You want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I mean, you can't get around that. But short of that, we must also realize that there is nothing wrong with teaching kids in particular at an early age that this thing we used to call a trade. Oh my God, it was a trade. You go to trade school. Hey, he's a laborer. And we had this very, 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 I think, kind of a snotty attitude towards it. But there are people who are going to tell you right now, I do not know. I do not need to. I want to work for the city. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a cop. I want to be a teacher. I think you need some schooling. I think there are some times where, there are some particular disciplines where you have to go. But if you want to be a carpenter or a wood person, a wood carver, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a musician, if you want to be whatever it is that you want to be, if you want to go into retail sales, if you want to go into, there has to be enough training, obviously, to allow you to do the position in the first place. If you want to go into banking, do you need a degree in finance to be a teller? No. Do you need something in culinary sciences to be a waiter or waitress? Or even be a chef? I think cooking school would be nice. We've got to revamp this. We've got to understand this. And by the way, throwing kids into college and having this $1 trillion debt that these people have for degrees, which in some cases mean nothing. Now, ideally, do I believe college? Oh, yes. If you are the right person, and if you are somebody who is susceptible and amenable to the rigors of school, of education, it's beauteous. I now cannot get enough of history, literature, philosophy. Me now, more than I ever knew. It's insatiable. And that's why I said before, youth is wasted on the young, school is wasted on the young. The people who would be the best students are older people who understand how this thing works. You can't understand what's happening in the world of politics today if you have no sense of history. If you have never seen, you cannot understand, you cannot talk about armies, wars, battles, defense, unless you understand what happened in the past. To understand the Constitution requires a little bit of work. That's what runs the show. And so many people always say, that's unconstitutional. That requires education and training and teaching, and it will be terrific. But I don't know if young people can even handle that. It's not for them. So what do? Have mandatory? Mandatory, I get a problem with mandatory. Anytime you say the word mandatory, I have a big problem with it. But the people who should be going to school, let me rephrase it. The people who should be involved in education tend to be older. And that's why, if there's one thing we can do, especially with the internet, with YouTube, with all kinds of platforms, you can have access to the greatest lecturers, the greatest classes, the greatest teachers, the greatest pedagogy, the greatest didactics, the greatest dialectics, name it, right here. You don't get a degree, perhaps, but it's here. There are more people who, I think, my age, would find who do have this, at least I hope I'm not kidding myself, but I think there's more people than not who have an insatiable desire to find out more about Where does all of this fit in? Did you know that George Washington would not shake hands with people? He had this thing with his hat and a sword. When he met people, he would bow and all this stuff. And I think it was Jefferson was the first one to say, stop doing that. And he started shaking hands. I found that interesting because Washington was from the European theaters and they didn't do this. I think that's interesting. Did you? Did you know that, believe it, who was it? It was it Madison or Monroe? The third president who died on July 4th. What does that mean? Well, it may not mean anything to you, but to me it's another example of, I didn't know that. And I love to say, I didn't know that. And I say that a lot. But maybe it's because of my age. Maybe it's the people like me who've lived some and look back and start to see this interconnection. Maybe then they recognize it. Education is knowledge, I think I hope you agree with me. I feel this sense of, like satiety when I learn something new, no matter how trivial, no matter how important, no matter how seemingly profound, irrespective of the degree of profundity of it. I love to learn. How we instill that upon younger folks, I don't know. And what they really have to know in school is far less than you would ever think. Again, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of new videos. And please, I want to see your comments below. Show me your brilliance as you comment, as you see fit.